Hey guys, it's good to see you. We really enjoy bringing these video presentations to you. And this special week is Living in Exile during Holy Week. So God bless all of you as we are on this journey with Jesus, His dying and His rising. God bless you.
Hey guys, welcome back. To our series titled How to Live in Exile. And this week we're talking about Holy Week. How do we Holy Week in exile? And I think the best place to start is looking at what is Holy Week.
What is it?
Holy Week. That is the holiest week of the year. And why do we celebrate it? Why do we say we celebrate when it kind of ends in sadness, right? We look at Friday and we're like, that's when Jesus died.
That's a bummer.
So why do we call it holy? Because God is able to take anything that's evil and turn it into something good. And not just good, but better than it was before. So what happens with Jesus? Let's just walk through it really quick. Jesus is taken captive. After captivity, he's sentenced to death. Jesus was crucified at 3 o'clock, and then he's taken off of the cross and he's put in a tomb where it looks like his whole life was for nothing. Sometimes suffering makes us feel like all of this was for nothing.
It was all for nothing.
When we find ourselves in a very difficult position, it feels like God has abandoned us. Jesus' words on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? He didn't create those words. Those words were from David from 2,000 years prior. Jesus was repeating those words to echo a sentiment of the heart that sometimes we feel abandoned by God. 2, we feel like we're in the tomb, that it's dark and it's uncomfortable and it feels very alone. And I feel lonely. Maybe in this season we feel very lonely, whether we're surrounded by people or whether we're living by ourselves and we're not reaching out and communicating with others. We can feel very alone.
Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely.
It can also make us feel very afraid. Whatever we're feeling, this Passion Week, this Holy Week, this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Jesus teaches us that it's okay that we're feeling what we're feeling because he and others would have felt the same during these days. But what happens next?
Watch what happens.
Because when God takes us into the darkness, when he takes us into the tomb, something has to happen. Because we know that God is abundant. We know, as we spoke about last week, that God is he's always preparing us for something new, a different new than what we had before. So when God takes us into the tomb, he's waiting to take us out of the tomb.
I'm gonna get you out.
I want to use an example because before we get to the resurrection of Jesus, it's important to understand how this is lived out even in creation. This is a caterpillar. Caterpillars, when you see one, they're kind of icky. They look cute on picture, but they're kind of icky. They like have all these little legs and they like run around. And you're like, you know? But what happens with a caterpillar? What do we know happens with a caterpillar? Well, it makes a cocoon and becomes a butterfly. Yeah. It goes into a cocoon. This is a cocoon. When we look at this cocoon, if you had a caterpillar who had the ability to think, can we just imagine what it would feel like to be in a cocoon? Lonely, dark, not knowing what's happening next. And we know what happens next. But that caterpillar has to go into a cocoon, which is like a grave, which is like what Jesus went into, which is like what we sometimes feel like. We're isolated, we're alone. There's nobody else in that cocoon with him. It's just him. Sometimes when we are in the midst of darkness, it feels like we're all alone.
I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me.
And when you're in a cocoon, you feel trapped. You feel that there's no room for anything good to come out of it. It's not a comfortable place to be in. But what happens in a cocoon is that the caterpillar starts to grow wings, right? Because the stuff in the cocoon makes it, something happens. I don't know what happens.
I don't even know it.
Nobody really knows what happens in a cocoon. It is called a scientific black box, which is amazing. Why is it amazing? Because when you're in a cocoon, we know what happened. What's the end result is the butterfly comes out of it. But how does it happen? Totally, we don't understand it. We can call it a mystery.
I don't know. It's a mystery.
So when we are in places that are dark, we're feeling uncomfortable or feeling trapped, there's something happening within us that maybe not everybody around us can see, but we do experience a change from within. Another cool thing is that if you see a cocoon, if you try to cut the butterfly out and help it so it can begin to fly, it'll die pretty quick.
Don't do that.
And the reason is because in the struggle of pulling itself out of the cocoon, it gains its strength so that it can fly more freely. That is good stuff, because in the struggle that we find ourselves, it is there that we gain our strength to live in the new life that Jesus calls us to live. So when we're feeling alone, when we're feeling abandoned, when we're feeling isolated, when we're feeling trapped or hurt, or like the world around us is crashing in because whatever situation we find ourselves, that is the time that God is teaching us the strength and starting to live a new life, like a butterfly that has come out of its cocoon. It is no longer living a caterpillar life, it is now living a new life. Look, when we are going through suffering, God is going to bring something good out. It's not a maybe, and it's not I hope he does. But because God doesn't know how to be any different, he will bring good out of it. It's who he is. He only knows how to make life better and better and better.
It just keeps getting better.
The difference is whether or not I allow myself to see that. If I don't, then life will always feel like a cocoon. If I do, then I will find my life starting to be lived more free.
I'm free, I'm free, I'm free.
As we go into this Holy Triduum, that is Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Saturday, Easter Sunday, as we go into this weekend, I'd invite you to feel whatever it is you're feeling.
I just have a lot of feelings
About this pandemic, or maybe about a loss, somebody who's died in your life, or maybe a sadness you feel. Maybe you feel alone, maybe you feel isolated, maybe you feel afraid. I invite you to feel that and ask Jesus, how did he feel that during these days? So one of the ways we can do this is through the imagination.
Imagination.
And we do it with Scripture. So maybe you see the part where it says, then Pilate took Jesus and scourged him, and the soldiers put a crown of thorns upon him and a purple robe, and they said, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they struck him. And you use your imagination.
Imagination.
And you put yourself in Jesus' shoes. Whew. What does it feel like to have a crown put on your head made of thorns? To have people strike you, to put a purple robe around you when you have a bunch of cuts and bruises. What does that feel like? Externally and internally. What are you feeling in that? Maybe Jesus felt abandoned. Maybe he felt betrayed. Maybe he felt lonely. Or what did he feel when he looked at Mary as he walked on the way to Calvary? What did Jesus feel when they cried out, "We want Barabbas to be free, a murderer"? And Jesus, knowing he was innocent, wasn't chosen. What does it feel like to Jesus or to you to not feel chosen? In those moments, we have the opportunity to imagine what it feels like to be with Jesus or to be Jesus in that moment. And we know he never had hatred. We know that he never despaired. So what did he feel in those moments?
I guess I just feel like.
So I invite you to grab a friend or a family member and start talking about it. Hilarious.
Welcome to quarantine, where you belong exactly as you are and also where you are. Please don't leave your houses.
I wish it was still there.